Yo, what's up, man? Hello, hello. Welcome to the Pixelists. I'm Will. That's Blake. We like to talk about all things nerdy. And today, the day has finally arrived. We are talking about The Legend of Vox Machina. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. All of a sudden, I was thinking about that scene from Billy Madison. I'm a little tired, a little hungry. It's like, how are you?
I forgot about that. It's a classic.
It is a classic.
He's
I'm good. As
okay.
you know, I have been just really busy watching my kid. My wife's been out of town, and so she's back, fortunately. But watching my kid alone. All you people out there who you've had to be a solo parent, or maybe you are just a solo parent in general, hats off to you, because being a parent's a lot of work, apparently. So, but it's been great, but a little wiped, and that's probably why we're getting this video out later than we would have liked. But I feel like there's always a reason, like, oh yeah, this is just real life, I guess.
You know, it is what it is. I'm just excited that after, I guess it hasn't been 3 years, but we're in the third year since this Kickstarter was announced, that it's finally here. It's finally arrived. I'm super excited to talk about it.
Me too, yeah. And for those of you guys who are checking out this video, we'll just go ahead and plug our other content on the channel. Assuming if you're checking out Vox Machina, maybe Legend of Vox Machina, maybe you are also a big D&D Critical Role fan. And if that's the case, we actually are doing an episode by episode, basically review with our thoughts right here on our channel. So the campaign's going on right now. They're 11 episodes in. You're probably watching it or have seen some of it. And so if you want to check out some of the other content, you can. Or if you just stumbled across the show on Amazon and you were like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that, all the more reason to check out the Critical Role channel and see some of the awesome stuff that inspired this show. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are one of those people that The Legend of Vox Machina is how you stumbled into this fan base, and you're like, I want to check out the actual D&D live streams, but you know, like, but there's already been 11 episodes. It's like 20 hours of content. Blake and I got you covered. We recap each and every episode. So if you want to catch up really quick and just start watching live with everybody, check out, I think I have a playlist where you can just see the recaps and get caught up in no time.
Yeah. And then also, if you are already you love Critical Role and you've seen maybe the first campaign, my man Will has already put up a couple of episodes of breaking down Legend of Vox Machina episodes 1 and 2. 3's on the way, I'm assuming.
I'm gonna try to do it. I'll definitely have it done before Friday, and like the next 3 episodes come out.
So this is definitely a labor of love. Will die. You know, we just like talking about this kind of stuff. We have like no editing or like video, expertise. And so Will, absolute labor of love. I think you said you spent like several hours on the first one.
But multiple several hours.
Yeah, but I didn't even say what this is yet. People are like, okay, what is it? Check out the channel if you are a big Critical Role fan already. He's put out episodes 1 and 2, and 3 is coming, of Easter eggs. And as someone who didn't watch campaign 1, I watched your first episode of the Easter eggs. First of all, you have a very cozy vibe. I was like, get a cup of coffee and just, enjoy this explanation. So it's a very like cozy, comforting video.
Oh, thanks, man.
And it was just really, as someone who's never watched campaign 1, it was just really fun for me. I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Like, well, I won't say like what. I'll let people watch the video, and we'll talk about it a little bit here.
Yeah.
But just that's my final plug, is for you guys to definitely check out those Easter egg videos. Whether you love Critical Role or if you've never seen it before, because again, as someone who hadn't seen campaign 1, I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to watch the second video too.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. And if anyone watches this, they'll know it going in, but hopefully I get better at video editing. I think I already made some minuscule improvements for the second one, so you'll have to let me know what you think after you watch that one.
I felt like it was like a coach like going through game film. Like you should envision you like sitting behind a projector with like a controller, like, all right, this part right here, and just slow this down.
That's what it felt like, honestly.
So but anyway, so we have 3 episodes that dropped of Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah.
let's talk reactions, thoughts.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Um, so again, I've, my resume, which anyone that's watching this probably knows it by now, but I've been a Critical Role fan for like however long it's existed, basically. So I've been waiting for this for so long, and I think we mentioned it maybe in our most recent CR3 video that like my hype levels are so high that I'm just worried that it couldn't possibly like meet them. And so, not that it would be bad, but I was just like, man, I feel like I'm gonna be let down, kind of. So far so good. I've really enjoyed it. I feel like they've hit the perfect kind of tone, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And it's we'll get into this, I'm sure, but the first two episodes of the three that were released are actually like a prequel in the sense that they were not ever live streamed to Twitch as part of the D&D campaign. That story is back from when they just played as friends together at home. So it was really cool for me to see that brand new content in a way, since at least to some extent I'm familiar with everything else that's going to happen in season one. Anyway, I'm rambling, but the point is I loved it. I was smiling, laughing, just feeling good the whole time. And the cast says that it only gets better for the rest of the season, so I'm interested to see if that's how I feel too. I hope so. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say, since you didn't see at least much of campaign one, what you thought.
Right. Yeah. So if you're checking out this video for the first time, or our channel, I watched about the first maybe 10 or 15 episodes of Critical Role campaign one. I loved it, man. I thought it was awesome. I really enjoyed it, actually.
Nice.
I really, despite feeling like I kind of already knew the characters, I felt like I was also just enjoying like discovering the characters.
Yeah.
And we'll get into kind of the characters that I really liked and stuff as we get into this episode. But really funny, and I loved how they did a great job of. We do a lot of Marvel content on this channel, and like one of the biggest criticisms of Marvel movies is Marvel humor, like where like a moment can't really sit without there
Yeah.
being like a joke.
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job of kind of the middle point of that, of bringing some brevity to important scenes,
Hmm.
and it also kind of reinforces who Vox Machina is as like this ragtag, like slumming it group.
Yeah.
So there was some really great deadpan, great comments. I really enjoyed the whole thing. I walked away from all three episodes, which I watched back to back, and was like, I really like this show. It's really fun. It gave me some Invincible vibes because of how
How like
how much
graphic
gore,
it
yeah,
could
how
be.
graphic it was. Which I don't have an issue with that, but originally I thought, since my wife likes Critical Role, I thought, yeah, maybe I'll watch it with her. And then I was like, okay, we're not watching this with her, just because she just doesn't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Ash is the same way.
Yeah, so I'm flying solo on it, but like I said, I really liked it, and we kind of give ourselves a hard time about like most stuff we review on here we end up liking anyway.
Yeah.
But I will say I was relieved a little bit to like it as much as I did, because we talked about this in our last campaign 3 episode, where it was like the hype is so large.
Hmm.
I'm worried of being let down, and
Right.
even as someone who's a relatively um newly committed Critical Role fan, I could feel the love for the fans,
Yeah.
really. I mean, it was like there was like these little tiny details and notes where I was like, okay, they didn't just, sweet, we got this awesome Kickstarter, let's like make a show and print bills.
Just
Like
phone it
you could,
in.
we've talked about this also like for like The Mandalorian, where
Hmm.
we've never talked about The Mandalorian on the show, but you and I have talked about how that's another series where the showrunners, you can really tell there's an appreciation for lore, appreciation for the fan base. Like they want to create something that fans can really be excited about. And I felt that same thing watching it. I was like, okay, you can tell that they just really wanted to produce something that, one, they could be proud of. And in some ways, almost kind of like felt like a thank you to fans. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, like we've had these awesome moments together. Let's, wrap those up into little nice snacks and just, litter them through the episode, which again is another great reason to check out that Easter egg video. But that's my long way of saying that I was okay. No, yeah, that I liked it.
No, yeah, man. And I think to kind of reiterate what you just said, it really is like a labor of love in like every sense of the word, like a love letter to the fans, a love letter to like this story that is so deeply personal to them. I mean, yeah, this is a story about Dungeons and Dragons, but this is like a catharsis, epic tale that these now best friends shared together over, you know, 3 or 4 years. So like, I don't know. I was hoping that that magic would be captured in the sense of like, oh, they're gonna make this into a show, and I think so far it has delivered. That, you know, it just there's an added level when passion meets expertise, and I think that's what like kind of the concoction we have here is.
Yeah, and it's a well made show. Also, like I think the animation's fine, the music's good, the voice acting naturally is really good.
Yeah.
And even like some of the details that I really appreciate, like you could almost see the cast or Matt Mercer or whoever like in the storyboarding room and like talking through what's going to happen. And you can almost like the scene that I'm thinking about is when Vox Machina gets dropped into the forest and Scanlan says, "Hey, you're going to come back and pick us up, right?" And the ship almost comedically, like bad animation wise, just lifts up out of frame immediately. And it's not intentionally bad. I mean, it's not like, oh, that was a really bad, we didn't do that right. You can almost see the storyboard people talking and being like, and like laughing and being like, okay, then we just have it just whoop, just like right out of the frame. Like we're out of here. Like that's the kind of a like labor of love that I you can kind of read into, and you're just like, okay, these people, they enjoyed making the show. And that's the same conversation we have with shows like Breaking Bad or I can't think of other shows off the top of my head, but shows where you just knew that the people who made it, they really had an interest and an intrigue. And then other shows, you know, I'm just like naming off a bunch now, but like shows like Community, which I really loved, you could almost sense the disinterest that the showrunners had by the time it was over. It's like those shows that go on a little bit too long. So anyway.
No, yeah, well said. I agree with all of that. And I'm really glad to hear that you liked it. You know, that's as someone who's like kind of carried a torch for Critical Role and like told anyone that would listen to me about it. I've been super anxious because, you know, most people, it's hard to convince them to commit to, you know, a full campaign. But now that we have this tightly packaged TV show, I've been finally like forcing some people to watch it. And so far, everyone's enjoyed it. So that's made me really happy.
I've also haven't read any feedback at all. I haven't read anything on Reddit, mostly because I'm trying to avoid spoilers. Like I'm trying to avoid someone being like, "Oh, that's a nice little nod to what's probably going to happen later in the show." Like I've just stayed away from all of it. It has in general, have people been pretty happy with it?
So I haven't really seen. I mean, I've seen some stuff just like organically on Twitter because like I follow a lot of Critical Role fans and the cast and stuff. So the stuff I have seen has been really positive, but I haven't like sleuthed the internet for like reviews or critical reviews or anything. So I'm not sure about that angle of it. Yeah. Okay. And just because I don't want to forget to say this later, since you brought it up about spoilers, quick thing for the comments of this video. If you know, obviously some people have seen all of campaign 1 and know what's going to happen. Feel free to comment anything you want, but if you are going to spoil something that like, you know, from campaign 1, please tag that, you know, so other people browsing the comments won't just have something spoiled. And then if you really want to like deep dive into some stuff that is spoilery, I say maybe drop it in the comments of the Easter egg video, because that's just like, spoilers are just abounding there anyway. So
that's a good call, because you and I, we love reading the comments. We're really guys, we're so grateful that we have, you know, people who comment on our videos and engage with us, mostly because it's just really fun for us. Like we made this YouTube channel because it's just so much fun to talk D&D and Critical Role amongst other things. So to have you guys engaging is really fun for us. It feels like, you know, we're part of a little bit of a tribe of, let's talk this through. What do you think? And especially like going through our Critical Role content, the theories that people throw out that end up being true, those are really awesome, fun moments for us. So I like to continue to read through the comments. So like Will said, if you are going to post something spoilery, for my sake, just tag it so that I can, you know, I'll probably like click read more and then like 3 words in, oh, nope, you know, and move on. So sometimes I read the spoiler comments and I'm like, okay, I don't understand what this even is.
Yeah, you don't have like context for it. Yeah.
It's like the Luxon from episode 79. I'm like, Well, I know that word. That's
I was gonna say, how do you know that?
yeah, yeah. I just made it up, man.
Well, coincidentally, that is a thing.
Yeah. So how do you want to? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was doing the same thing you were. I was just saying, where should we go from here? I guess could we usually give recaps of Critical Role Campaign 3 episodes. I don't think we really need to do an in-depth recap here. The episodes are short, and I'm sure everyone remembers generally what happened. But to try to give a very, very, very quick encapsulation before we just talk about things, the first 2 episodes of the show are, like I mentioned earlier, kind of like a prologue to the story we're familiar with from the stream, where Vox Machina is basically hired to go deal with this evil that ends up being a dragon. And, so they do their little investigating, eventually find out, it's General Krieg. Fight him, kill him, hooray. This is the introduction to these characters. And boom. Now with episode 3, we're diving into the first arc of the Twitch stream proper, referred to as the Briarwood arc by fans. So in this episode, we get the new heroes of Amon Vox Machina go into this banquet to meet with all these other dignitaries and talk about, what this dragon attack means and making sure we're all prepared. And the big, kind of twist in this episode is that the Briarwoods from Whitestone arrive, and Percy, a member of Vox Machina, has a history with them, and not a pleasant one. So confrontation is had, they have a battle, ultimately the Briarwoods get away, and we're left with kind of this cliffhanger, with No Mercy Percy showing up, blasting off dudes' fingers, and
Yeah, I don't remember that at all from like the first like chunk of episodes I watched.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my, like what? I didn't know this angle about him.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say a lot of what I remember from what I watched was they were like deep diving into like a dungeon with like
The Underdark.
Illithid. Yeah,
Right.
maybe that was it. What was the It was the Mind Flayers, the Illithid or whatever.
Yeah. They're down there.
Maybe Lady Kima was involved.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, yeah. Because when her character popped up in the Legend of Vox Machina, I was like, I think I know her. I think didn't they save her or something?
Yes.
Or something. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of the content that I saw. But I didn't remember Percy having that angle to him. So that was totally fresh for me.
Yeah. And for anyone that cares or is confused, if maybe you did see campaign 1, and like Blake just mentioned, he saw some episodes where Vox Machina saved Lady Kima, but here we are. Well, actually, I guess this would technically take place before. I don't want to confuse anybody, but the point I wanted to get to is that Matt actually addressed this because someone asked him a question on Twitter asking about like the canon of the TV show compared to the D&D Twitch campaign and the comics. They actually do an Origins series of comics that talk about different characters from the campaigns. Okay. And basically Matt said the comics and the Twitch stream are all like a singular canon. For the TV show, it's like its own canon that's based on that. So it's not like a beat for beat same story as the Twitch stream, because obviously they had to adapt it for this new medium. So anyway, that was just a bunch of word vomit to a disclaimer that no one needed. But
hey, we're in a multiversal world now.
There we go.
So it's good to address these things and get clear as to what's happening in each timeline or whatever. So no, that's good context. Yeah, because I was thinking, okay, should we expect them to save Lady Kima in like upcoming episodes? Is it getting dropped entirely? Is it implied to have just happened? So like your detail of, well, in the show, it didn't happen because it's not canon. What's happening in the show is what's happening in the show.
Yeah.
But it is canon in,
Right.
You get like a whiteboard now.
And so again, this is just probably not even worth going over, but just for the record, the Kima stuff where they rescued her actually takes place before the Briarwood arc. So they're just kind of skipping that Illithid Underdark arc as far as the show is concerned.
Yeah. So now we're in totally uncharted territory for me because I never got to this point.
Right. So that excites me. So yeah, even though that's at the very end of episode 3, since we're kind of talking about it, we could start there. I know.
Sure.
This will be interesting because this is a new dynamic for Blake and I, because we've only talked about Critical Role Campaign 3, where both of us are equally in the dark. Now we're in the situation where I know some things, like we just said, they're going to potentially change some stuff for the show. So, there may even be twists and surprises for me. But anyway, so we're going to have to kind of find this dynamic where like maybe I don't say stuff sometimes or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, and I have to resist being like, so what's going on here? Well, so
yeah,
is he a vampire? Is he a werewolf? Like, what's going on here? You know, and like I'm
yeah.
just you know, and you're in this weird place of like, I don't know, you know, and so you know,
We'll see how it goes. I mean, maybe some stuff is still like worth talking about, even
yeah.
if it may be spoilery if we want to. But
Well, and maybe I don't know. I mean, I assume part of it's also like me being like, hey, so this detail, this is how I read into it.
yeah,
And, you know, knowing the whole context can be like, well, not exactly. This is actually what they were trying to communicate in that scene. Like,
yeah,
perfect example, um, Vex. No,
Vex
Vax.
is
Which one's the rogue?
Vax.
Vax.
Vax is Liam.
Yeah. Vax being in the Briarwoods room and flipping through the journal
Yeah,
and all the like apothecary like poison stuff popping out of the chest, and then him
hmm,
getting to the page where all of a sudden he sees like the skull.
yeah,
The way I interpreted that was him being like, oh, like these people are involved in like some kind of death magic. Like that's not good. And then you know the scenes after that happened
yeah.
is that the act. This is just an example of maybe how we can walk this out.
Hmm.
Is that an accurate understanding or like takeaway from that, or did I misinterpret that?
No, yeah. I mean, for you not knowing what's like happening in the story, yes, like that's a fair takeaway there. That's obviously some kind of dark stuff that they're dealing with, and I think he mentions the whispered one when he's looking at that
Right.
book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely kind of a, I don't know if clue is the right word because it's not like necessarily a mystery you're trying to solve at this point, but that's definitely
It's
like a
it's
a
like an introduction of
breadcrumb.
a yeah, it's an introduction of a plot thread.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, here's like a small detail.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's exciting too. But yeah, so again, I guess even though this is kind of at the end, since we already were talking about it with Percy, that final moment with the him basically just go no mercy Percy is what fans refer to him as at times. So that's kind of the mode he went there. It was just from my perspective, it was so cool to see that animated, and there's a few like details, and I'll probably go more into depth on this on the Easter egg video, but with like the smoke kind of emanating out of him and stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. I love
I
that.
was having the same reaction that the other characters in the show were, which were,
Like,
Percy,
bro,
what
what are
is
you
wrong
doing?
with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is going on, bro? You good, man?
Yeah. I mean, but even from what we know, these people killed his whole family, so like
Right.
I don't blame him for no mercy Persian.
Yeah. No, yeah. Which, you know the Briarwoods are evil because they left their dude Desmond to
Yeah.
get his hand blown off.
Yeah.
Easily could have been like, "Hey, homie, just jump in, man. Like
Yeah. He
we got room
just
for you, dude.
yeah,
Just
he
get on
just threw
in."
him off. He's like, I'm driving. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
It's like, "See you later, dude." Seems like you want to, sometimes evil dudes do things that you're like, "Hey, it seems really inconvenient to get rid of him," but he's done a lot.
It's a power move.
I guess so. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, and
Matt
probably to
killed it
keep them
as
from following.
sorry, second.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt did. Which by the way, Matt looked a lot like the valet guard.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
intentional?
Yeah. So the I've been referring to it as the Matt NPC. He's showed up in all 3 episodes so far, so I'm hoping he shows up in every episode.
Okay, I only picked it up on as the valet. So
In
that's
the third one.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So in the first one, do you remember when Scanlan was peeing on that guy? That was Matt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and in the second one, it's not. It's the second one's more subtle, but it's when Grog and Scanlan are like just chilling when they're supposed to be looking for Finch, and
Right.
Grog like takes the big barrel of ale.
Yeah.
Matt is the one like pushing that cart of barrels.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I love that. I hope. I mean, I feel like since he's been in all three, surely they're gonna kind of hide him in all 12. But
Yeah.
I would love it
Like
if they
Waldo.
did.
He
Yeah,
just keeps popping up.
exactly. It'd be fun.
Yeah. So how do you want to do this?
Hey, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just like a lot of little things like I want to just mention to like appreciate, but as far as like the discussion or like theory crafting, I feel like I have to leave that to you to like at least
Yeah.
pilot.
Yeah.
Um,
I was I mean, yeah, I mean, I can just dump like some random thoughts I had. You know, I some things that I really liked detail wise. It's gonna sound so weird. I liked the butchering of the village as like a nice uh like premise for them kind of, turning to a new, it's kind of taking Pike's advice.
Yeah,
Um and also I liked all the characters too. I have heard kind of secondhand that Keyleth gets a lot of hate. I really liked her character a lot. She was a really fun character. Liked everybody's character. But one thing I was wondering was this prologue, like episodes 1 and 2, just around what level are they? Because taking down a dragon is no small feat. And that was like
true.
one thing that I was like, oh, I'm really surprised that they actually even took it down. So any context, any ideas, even what level they started at in the
So
Briarwood camp or arc?
so when they started streaming on Twitch, like we've already mentioned, they were already playing in a home game. So like their
Right.
D&D campaign had already existed for I think maybe even like a year or longer. I don't remember off the top of my head. But so when we start episode 1 on Twitch, I think they're level 12 or 13.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we don't know exactly when this prologue with General Krieg took place. It obviously took place sometime before that. So I would imagine they're around level 8 to 10 or 7 to 10 maybe for this.
Yeah.
And
So they already are a group that plays D&D about much longer than anyone else ever makes it.
true, true.
I think I read this stat that was like 80% of teams or of games never make it to level 10 or something.
I
So
believe it,
yeah,
man. I mean,
that's awesome. So they've
scheduling
been
is
playing together a while then.
yeah. So I mean, at this point, it's been I don't think it's been a decade yet, but I think we're looking at like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. But I mean,
Um,
like before they were on Twitch, they must have been playing together for a while.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. So I think they
Oh yeah.
maybe were playing for like, I mean, some of the people like Matt has been playing his whole life, but them
Right.
collectively as a group playing together, I think was maybe like a year, give or take, before they started streaming. And now they've been streaming for like 5 or 6 years. So
Yeah, yeah.
something around there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was gonna jump backwards a little bit. If you had
Well, no,
something.
I was going to change the subject again. So
Okay, well, I just wanted to touch on the fact that you mentioned the whole Keyleth thing, that she was one of your like early favorites in these early episodes, and that she did get a lot of hate during the D&D. I'm trying to remember like what should I call each one to know what I'm talking about, but during the D&D Twitch Critical Role Campaign 1, Keyleth was definitely a magnet for a lot of hate. And I'm so glad that this animated show is coming out because I feel like it presents her in a whole new light. And some of this has to do with their actors, and when Keyleth is kind of playing like a bumbling, like kind of ditzy, like, oh, did I just mess things up? Like a lot of people were like, oh, that's not Keyleth, that's Marisha. Marisha screwed up, not Keyleth. And so like she got a lot of undue hate because of that. But here in the
yeah,
show,
okay.
you can see that like, oh, that's Keyleth's character. Like she was
Yeah,
playing
that's
into
what's
that.
that's what's been really fun for me is like discovering the characters of like, okay, Keyleth is unsure of herself.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even personally use the words like bumbling or like, mistake prone. I see it as low confidence, unsure of herself, sort of trying to find her footing and like find her place. There's a
absolutely.
great scene with Vex, in her face kind of being like, Keyleth, like get with it, like you got this. And then these awesome sort of Gohan-esque moments where like her power comes out.
Yeah,
And frankly, when you think about the scope of the first two episodes, actually even the third episodes, when she does act, it's noticeable. I mean,
yeah.
it changes the course of the entire fight. So I've really enjoyed how they've designed her character. Um, but yeah, it's good context what you gave because it pieces together some of those data points of like comments that I've heard before. We even had people in our comments commenting on some other characters being like, "Oh, that's so much like Keyleth from Campaign One," things like that. But definitely haven't even gotten a sense of like, her Brita-ing anything or whatever.
Yeah,
So
that's a super insightful comment. I think you kind of nailed her character on the head with how you described her, and then like trying to find herself and being kind of, not having confidence, because that's definitely Keela to a T.
Isn't she also the one who says to the group, like, why are we even together?
Yeah.
And like, so that's also, I think, was a really awesome scene that helps kind of paint her character too, of like just like trying to figure out like where does she fit with everything and like how do
Yeah.
they all fit together.
Yeah, and I feel like they've done such a great job of kind of giving every character little moments like that that kind of help build them up. Um, so who thus far would you say is your favorite? Is it Keyleth because of the stuff we're talking about, or was somebody else kind of stealing the spotlight
Um,
for you?
it's tough. It's weird for me because certain characters in my mind are so heavily attached. Like, Travis is Grog in my mind, despite having not seen so much of campaign one. I mean, Grog is just such a notable character. Like in one of their episodes, like the accent's great. I mean, he just really stands out.
Hmm.
Which, by the way, whenever he does the final blow for Krieg,
Yes.
when he does the "I want to rage," it
Yes.
just instantly, even having only seen like a dozen or so episodes, it just took me back
Hmm.
to him saying, "I want to rage."
Bro, that was such a great
So
moment.
Oh, it was awesome, and he just kind of honed into it as
Hmm.
it just was great. So that's really cool, but then on the flip side, someone like, Liam is so tied to Orem in my mind,
Mm.
and so seeing him as Vax, it it's not that I don't like Vax, it's just so far it's hard for me to kind of latch on to Vax and resonate with Vax, in, like, the context of, like, who's my favorite. Because for me, Liam is Orem, right?
Okay, that's fair.
And I didn't really watch a lot of campaign 2, so I didn't really, know a lot about Caleb or his whole character. But all that to say, to answer your question finally, I've always been a sucker for Ashley Johnson. I've always really liked, when I was watching through campaign 1, the episodes I saw, I always really liked Pike.
Mm.
I thought it was a really interesting character, and I really liked her, sort of like the depth of like her, relationship with her god or whatever, however you refer to it.
Yeah.
Like that sort of tension and like sort of battle there was really interesting. So I really like Pike, really like Vex, always a great character. And like I said, I really love Keyleth too. Keyleth's been
Yeah.
a really fun character to watch. And then, Scanlan is great too. I mean, so many great scenes with him. And Sam Riegel. I guess I'm cheating on the answer because I keep being like, oh well, I really love, you know,
All of the
um,
above.
yeah. Which it's interesting, even though I haven't like locked onto Percy yet. Um, on the flip side, with campaign 3, I'd be like, man, Ashton's one of my favorites. It's such a
Yeah.
fun, cool character. Um, that's my total non-answer, man.
No,
I
yeah.
wish I could just be like, oh, easy, it's this person. But again, it's someone who's kind of experiencing for the first time. I'm just like, oh, I really like that. I like that. I will say definitively, there aren't any characters I dislike. There aren't any characters that I find annoying or just like a weird fit.
Hmm.
I'm just like, yeah, this is a group that really gels well together. And every time each one gets screen time, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a testament to how like they're doing good work, like
Mhm.
if you enjoy everyone. Also, I think it's a testament to how well they know these characters, which of course they do. They created them, they lived in them for half a decade. So they know how to hit, like they know how to bring that depth because they are the characters in a way. So I
Right.
think it's really easy to kind of relate to everyone. Um,
Do you
uh,
do you, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's really interesting to me to hear what you said about like Liam being Orem and Taliesin being Ashton, because
Yeah.
I mean that makes sense because campaign 3 is like your first real deep dive into it.
Right.
For me, it's kind of like Liam is Vax and
Yeah.
Taliesin is Percy. I mean, I definitely see them as I've been able to separate for each campaign, but
Yeah.
like I
Right.
definitely have like the deepest connection to those because that's where I started.
Yeah. It's what started it all, right? So I mean, which by the way, do you have a favorite character?
Ah, I mean, kind of. I mean, not to cop out, but kind of like you said, I'm really enjoying everyone, but like if you made me pick, I will say my favorite. Grog was one of my favorites in the Twitch campaign. Really because he's such like a fun character. He kind of brings comedic relief, and you'd think Grog is like this one-dimensional like meathead, and I don't want to spoil anything, but Travis like really like nails certain moments that just like make you go, oh wow, like he really understands how to like make a three-dimensional character. And this guy you could completely write off as just like the dumb meathead that swings his axe actually has some like really cool depth to him.
Well, it's kind of like whenever they decide to, the village gets destroyed and he says whatever he says, and
Mhm.
Vax is like, that was really well said. And he goes, what did I say?
Yeah, that part cracked me up. I wanted to mention this too. I feel like he's done such a great job of the delivery of kind of like that type of line exactly. He has a few throughout the first 3 episodes where he's like, "What?" and it cracks me up every time. But yeah, so if I had to pick at least 3 episodes in, probably still Grog just because of my allegiance from the Twitch stream. But Vax and Scanlan, I mean, I really could list all of them, but Grog and Scanlan kind of have like a dynamic that I loved in the campaign. So I've been excited to see that kind of translate to the animated show.
Right.
Honestly,
Right.
Grog and Vax too, like the little nut check game that they had.
Is that? Oh, I was going to ask you. Is that in the stream? By the way.
So yeah, yes and no. Like, I'm pretty sure they definitely hit each other in the balls like multiple times throughout the campaign, but it wasn't like, at least not that I recall, like a specific game that they kept score with in that way. But like they always were playing pranks on each other, like more so than just the ball thing. So I'm wondering if they're gonna just like kind of consolidate that into the ball tap game, or if they still will have the other pranks.
Well, I didn't know if there was like, I know like Matt creates different like games and things like, this is how this card game works. And Scanlan was like, oh, well, that one's worth 3 points because the game is actually surprisingly refined. And the person's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if there actually was like rules and things in the Twitch stream.
There definitely might have been, and it's just been so long now that I've forgotten. But at the very least, they were always messing with each other, so it was good to see that dynamic brought over.
Another great I don't care moment was when they were introducing themselves and they're like, we're Vox Machina. It's actually a very clever play on words. Like, we don't care.
That was great. So. And I love that freaking Tony Hale, Buster Bluth, is that character.
Yeah. Which I didn't realize. It threw me. I thought Finch was I guess maybe I underestimated the team because I was like, oh, this is clearly the bad guy. I mean, they're giving us a very easy low-hanging fruit, like it's so obvious. And I was kind of thinking like, come on, guys, do a little bit better. And so when he's like, telling them like you don't understand, and then he just gets run through. I was like, oh, okay. Which, by the way, I loved. I don't know who said it, but someone was like, wow, you are surprisingly stealthy in all of that armor.
Yeah. It was
so another great example of like nice little brevity that doesn't spoil the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I should reiterate it all here, but I actually talk about that exact moment in the Easter egg video that actually has some layers to it. It's kind of referring to some D&D rules as well. So,
yeah, okay.
I
will also say I also really liked, and you'll probably, if you haven't already, the attention to doors though. Like in the 3rd episode, at the start of the 3rd episode when they're in the keep, and Lady Aurora, is that her name?
Allura, like allure, but Allura.
Yeah, she's you can hear them on the other side of the door being like, why can't we get this open? And I know from campaign 3 you've mentioned that this is a long running trope where it seems like with doors they have the hardest time.
They struggle with doors in episode 2 too, when they're trying to get into Krieg's house. Like Scanlan tries to open it, and they all do. So yeah, I love that. That's another thing that I hope and expect to see recur throughout the whole show, if even beyond the 1st season.
Yep. Which are they releasing 3 more on Friday?
Yeah, it's going to be 3 every Friday, so 4 sets of 3. So 3 more sets of 3.
Oh, so there's
since
12
we already
total.
had one. Yeah, 12 total.
Oh. So are we going to refer to this as like part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4, or
no? Oh, like the
In terms of like the
chunks of episodes.
titling, yeah.
I mean, so far I've just seen them call it season 1. They're just releasing it in 3
well,
episode chunks.
yeah, not them how they'll label it, but like for us, for like the
Oh,
organization of the
oh,
channel, like people like, hey, we're talking about.
yeah.
I
I
guess we'll just
mean,
say episodes 1 through 3.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, yeah. We were,
Talking
whatever,
about 4
whatever
through 6
works,
today. I don't know.
whatever makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Little yeah.
I'm super excited for the next 3. Because I mean, we already had 3, but the first 2 were kind of a self-contained story, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I'm excited to see that now we have 9 episodes to kind of let this overarching story breathe. So I'm kind of interested to see how they kind of pace this out. Like what, I mean, I don't even honestly remember enough of like the specific details to be like, oh, I know what's going to happen in episode 5 and in episode 7, because I have no idea how they've translated this to an animated format.
Have they said how far they want season 1 to go?
So season 1 is the Briarwood arc. So like without spoiling anything, we're going to kind of reach some sort of conclusion to this story we've been presented here in episode 3 of, the Briarwoods and Percy and all that stuff.
Okay.
So and then we have a season 2 confirmed, which I have an idea of what that might cover, but I don't want to speculate on that here. Maybe like after the finale, we could kind of talk about that. Okay. But one thing I've been wondering, and just in case anyone else was wondering this, I was wondering, is season 2 as far as they're going to go? Like, are they planning to translate all of campaign 1 and try to get it down distilled to 2 seasons and boom, and then maybe they'll move on to campaign 2 if it's successful? That's something
interesting.
Yeah, it's something I hadn't seen anything mentioned about, but a couple days ago I finally saw an interview. I don't remember where, but Travis Willingham was the one talking about it, and he was talking about like them plotting out like if they were lucky enough to keep getting to do more seasons, how they would do it and stuff. So I think season 2 is just what they have so far, like through Amazon. But I'm assuming if it's successful, we could even get like 9 seasons, all of campaign 1, which the more the merrier. Obviously, don't like do it out just because you can, but there's a lot of story to be told in campaign 1. So, if I'll take 9 seasons. Hey, but anyway, I was just excited to hear that
if The Witcher can get season 3 renewed, we can get we can get multiple seasons of Critical Role.
Shots fired.
I love. We still need to talk about The Witcher, but
yeah, we do.
It's. I don't know. There's a lot to be said about
it. Had its pros and cons.
Quality. It did, yeah. It had its ups and downs for sure.
We need to talk about it. We won't. Yeah. I won't derail us here.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that was a ramble. But there could be potentially many seasons, all of campaign 1, and that excites me, especially with some of the little clues we got dropped in these first 3 episodes that are of things that definitely won't be in season 1 but could be in future seasons. That got me excited.
Ooh, interesting. I'm so intrigued now because naturally I don't even know what to look for. I'm just like, cool. That was a cool scene. Let's keep going.
Well, I'm glad I know we kind of already talked about this, but I'm glad that it still holds up even without having that added layer of the Easter eggs and the nods and stuff, And kind of jumping around here, but one thing I wanted to make sure to mention is just how awesome David Tennant was as Krieg. Like, he just killed it, and that Scottish man was just nice.
It is a really good character. It's one of those villains that you're like, some part of me wants you to not lose because you have such like a great presence. Oh
yeah, it's a good word. He really did have a great like screen presence, even though it's animated. But he was powerful. You could feel it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to mention that. I mean, honestly, and this is, I guess, I don't know, but honestly, everyone did such a great job. Like the main cast obviously did a great job voice acting, but like all of the guest stars, if you will, really slipped in and felt like a part of the world. I think you even texted me about Kari Payton, the Sovereign Uriel. He's just got such like a regal voice, and I don't know, it was just so fun. I could gush about it for 30 more minutes, so I'll stop. But I had to at least get my few words in there about the
Well, it was
The
a
voice
great,
actors.
fun first 3 episodes, and like you mentioned, we have 3 more coming Friday, and we're back to Critical Role Campaign 3 on Thursday, which
Yeah.
yeah, I love that this started in the gap.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know you mentioned the one shot was really fun on Thursday. I didn't get a chance to watch it because being a solo dad,
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of time on my hands. But it's just I'm just like the more D&D content, especially Critical Role wise, the better. So
Yeah.
we got a lot to talk about after this week for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to figure out how we were gonna do this. I mean, I guess we'll probably do Critical Role first and then Vox Machina since it comes out first. But
Yeah, maybe we'll see how it plays
we'll
out.
figure it
Right?
out.
Yeah.
But I
So
actually, I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, I guess, but it feels like it's been so much longer since campaign 3. I don't even remember what
yeah,
happened last.
I was just thinking about it because I was like, I mean, they basically did all of their errands in this most recent
Oh,
episode.
right. Okay. Yeah. It all just came back to me. I remember now.
Yeah. So we might get a ball episode Thursday.
Mm,
So or maybe the week after. Who
yeah.
knows? 'Cause it seems like they want to do that before they go um
To
to
the
the
Heartmore
wilds. Yeah, yeah. The Heartmore, that's right.
for
So
the Ocean's 11 heist.
yeah, yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about,
Yeah. Check it
check
out.
out campaign 3. So well, anything else you want to mention for this episode?
I don't think so. Just like, for those of you that are watching this video and clearly watch Legend of Vox Machina, please drop your thoughts in the comments. Blake and I basically both just fanboyed, but I would love to hear other people's opinions. Unless you didn't like it, then shut up. No, I'm just kidding. Like, just let us know because I want to hear it. I'm interested to see kind of the whole spectrum of, what
Yeah.
level CR fan you are, kind of where you're coming to the show and what you thought about it.
Yeah. We're pretty open to engaging with people who have different opinions, even if especially if you didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
The only things we cringe at is when people say like really cringeworthy stuff. We're like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
just like the toxic stuff.
yeah, we're like, ooh, hey, yikes. So anyway.
But yeah, one final reminder since we're talking about this is just if you are going to talk about something spoilery from C1, please just give, some sort of
Yeah.
campaign 1 spoiler warning,
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah. Should we do a thumbnail?
Yeah, what should we do though?
Should there be like some kind of like celebration or just like because it's finally here, or
I'm down for that.
I don't know, something like
Just
that?
like like a triumphant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. All right.
I might have to scoot back a little bit so I can get in the
Okay.
frame.
I got mine ready.
Perfect.
Always love our thumbnail. All right. Well, thank you guys for checking us out. And you can also keep following us on Twitter at the Pixelists. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Till next time, y'all. Bye.
Deuces.